Hello, everyone, and welcome to Creative Live TV. Welcome to actually what is our very first live recording of the We Are Photographers podcast. I'm your host, Kenna Klosterman, both of Creative Live and We Are Photographers. And before I bring on our very special guest that I know a lot of you are tuning in to see, Mr. Peter Hurley, I just want to make sure and tell everybody out there that we are here. We are thinking of you. We hope you are safe and well during these quite unusual times. I am coming to you from my home. We've got Peter in his studio, which is a 3-minute walk from his home, and our whole team is broadcasting from their homes as well. So thinking about you all. What we are doing here at Creative Live is we have something called Creative Live TV that we just launched last week. And if you are streaming right now on whether it's YouTube, Facebook, you can come over as well to creativelive.com/TV. You can join the chat. And we are bringing you from living rooms to kitchens. We are bringing you live musical performances. We're bringing you cooking shows. So many things that are here to not just to entertain and give you things to focus on kind of during this time. So we decided to take what We Are Photographers is podcast. This is going to be episode number 71. And we are going to take it live as we don't normally do. Normally, it's like I said, it's audio only. So without further ado, let me check what's going on in the chat rooms. We've got Patricia saying hello. We've got Will Taylor, a regular, saying hello. Peter, Neaton in London, Donald Sheffer. So many folks already tuning in. So thank you guys for being here. But without further ado, Mr. Peter Hurley, if you are not familiar with him, I don't know. He is a Canon Explorer of Light, a portrait and headshot photographer. He is the founder of the Headshot Crew, an incredible community, a network of over 16,000 photographers all over the world who are truly so tight and such an incredible group of folks. He is a sailor. He is a TEDx speaker and a coach, and he's taught here on Creative Live. So, Peter Hurley, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks, Kenna. Oh, my gosh. I'm so psyched you asked me to do it. I was like, we don't have anything to do. Let's do this. This is cool.
So, first of all, you're in New York City, and I want to just acknowledge that and hope that you and your family and your loved ones are doing well. New York is one of the hardest hit spots right now. So how are you doing?
Yeah, it's been challenging. I was actually debating whether I still sail. So I had a world championship in Melbourne, Australia, and it was in set for March. And I was like, I'm just going. And it was like right at the beginning of March. And my wife's like, are you crazy? You shouldn't go. And I was like, I got to go. I bought a boat. There's a boat down there. There's 2 regattas. I'm teaching 2 workshops. I got to go. I'm going. I jumped on the plane. I got down there and I was there for about 2 days when they canceled the world championship. And I was like, oh my gosh. So then we got a little bit of sailing in. Long story short, I bailed on there was a little bit of a regatta. I left a day early once the president shut down the flights from Europe. I was worried he was going to shut down the country. So I was like, I got to get back in. So when I came back in, I self-quarantined in my studio and the plan was to stay here for 2 weeks. Mostly I was sick. I wasn't sick. Like, I don't know if I had it or not. I don't know. I got tested and it was negative, but it took, I got tested on my 12th day and it took 4 days, 3 to 4 days for the results. And I didn't want to go back home because I live with my mother-in-law and she's 76 and she's frail. So I was like, there's no way I'm going to be held responsible for anything ever happening to her. So I was just here being safe. And, my family was safe in the apartment and we've been fine. And I'm 3 minutes away. So when I go out, I go with my N95 mask and my gloves and I'm careful and we're just doing everything to make sure this thing doesn't spread. And I hope everybody listening is doing the same.
Absolutely. So I've been watching your journey from heading over to Australia. You just turned 50,
Yep.
and you have been training for this month that you are going to do there and the regatta. And so I kind of associate that with the fact that you are very goal oriented and have been doing something called Wake Up and Goals. So t- talk to me about what it meant to you to sort of be preparing yourself physically and mentally for this challenge, like as you turn 50.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I'm getting darker because I'm using natural light and I didn't set my auto ISO on my camera. Hold on a second.
All right, in typical Peter Hurley fashion, he's got to get that lighting right.
I was too dark. This is better.
No, you look great. I love it.
Oh my gosh. Now I kicked the cord. Where'd my background go? Now we're really in trouble. Oh my god.
That's all right. This is the beauty of live. Beauty of live.
Guys. All right, whatever.
I know you're going to get it
That's
back.
the way it's going to look. I'll get it back.
Okay.
And if I don't get it back, I don't get it back.
There we go.
That's the way we roll. So anyway, so this was the deal. I knew the World Championship was coming. I'm a big goal setter. So I trained for the Olympics, and we had a sports psychologist that was this is my first indication that I was a goal setter. I was like, this guy was like, I was at the 1995 World Championship. I'd never been. It was my first World Championship, and I was slated to get, like, if I was lucky to get top half, I get top half. Going to the last race, I was in 8th place. I was working with the sports psychologist during that event, and we worked on goal setting and visualization. And then I finished my Olympic training, and I met this guy, Bob Proctor, who's all into goals and stuff, and we became friends, and I started my photography business based on his principles. So I've always been big on setting big goals for myself and trying to achieve them. I think if you don't have something that lights a fire under your butt, what are you doing? So I happen to love sailing. I love photography. All my goals are based on, like, trying to live a cool life. And I think those are the coolest things that I can do. Plus hang out with my kids and my wife, which is tough when you're traveling all over the world and stuff. But you know, it's when the World Championship was in Australia, like, I feel so fortunate that I have gotten a worldwide following thanks to things like Creative Live, which put me all over the world, which was amazing. So I really have to thank you guys. It allowed me to touch people in Australia and to fill up workshops down there, and then to go sail and teach and do the thing I love. So I feel really fortunate. So I was a little heavy in going for the boat. I want to weigh 185 was the goal at the World Championships. And I usually live around 200, I guess, is what I usually weigh, or around 195, I guess, lately. But so January 1st, I did this fitness challenge with the Headshot crew. So anyway, I get to Australia, and I'm about 190 with about 10 days, about a little over a week left to the regatta. I was like, I'll get to 185, no problem. And they canceled the World Championship. And I had been dieting and working so hard at it that I immediately went for the carbs. I went for the beers. I went for the fries. I went for the fried chicken sandwich on the bun. I was eating the ice cream. And now I'm like 210. I was 190. I was like 193 there. I got down to 190, and now I'm 210. I gained like 20 pounds on this just during this whole debacle. So I decided, I came back and I shaved before I got on the plane, and I haven't shaved since. So I decided until I'm back to at least 195, I'm not shaving.
Well, there you go. There's a way to set your goals, right?
There's my goal.
I want to dive further into Bob Proctor, who you call your mentor, the law of attraction. You know, I've heard you talk about it as, you know, all this. You don't use the word woo, but some people might. But yet, like, it's your thing.
Yeah.
So when did you? I mean, you talked about when, but how has that played an important role in your life? Is there something else that you would never have achieved if it weren't for sort of this mindset that you have?
None of it. I don't think any of it. Like, I think I think that Bob talks about people being what is an unconscious competent. So unconsciously, I was doing stuff all my life, but I wasn't aware of why. Are you catching that? We're in New York.
That's all good.
um, and unconscious competence. So basically, you're unconsciously doing things that your life's going along great. You're accomplishing goals, things are happening, but you're not aware of how it actually happened. And then Bob just put out a set up his system is like his ideas and the things he teaches and the principles are so in sync with the way I was thinking, and I just didn't know. And then I knew, and then I was like, wow, this is cool. And then it's work in progress. So it's like I'm always working on it. It doesn't stop. What happens is that once you achieve something, you need a new goal. And a lot of people don't make the new goal after they achieve something. And then they're just on like a hamster wheel in a comfort zone. And I try to always push myself out of it. And I try to keep myself accountable by going on Instagram in the morning and saying my goals, or coming on things like this and saying what I'm doing, because I think accountability is huge. And I use the Headshot crew to keep me accountable. And I don't think there's anything that's influenced my career more than, or my life more than the principles that Bob had taught me. And I think that yes, it's a little bit law of attraction and stuff like that. And some people think that's foo-foo or whatever, but I think you can find people that say the same exact thing in a very practical way for you. It depends who you resonate with. Like, I happen to really like listening to Bob, and we are friends, and I've done a bunch of videos with him, and I've spoken on stages with him because he's invited me, which is amazing. So and he gave me a birthday wish for my 50th birthday, which was amazing, a video birthday wish. So thank you, Bob. But if he sees this, or if somebody can tell him, I don't speak to him that often anymore, but I think every single person, like, we have mentors are great, like people you look up to, people who are doing the thing that you want to do, that you can gain insight from, is huge. I think that we crave that, and as photographers, we look at other people's work for that, and then if you can actually get in touch with them, it's always amazing when somebody whose work you respect so much, like, actually you can see them working, or you can ask them a question or something like that. I answer everything that comes into my Instagram. If people message me, I answer them. It's me. It's not anybody else. I'm doing it. Like, I was getting like 100 or more messages a day while I was in quarantine. And I was like, and then my friends would be mad. They'd be like, well, why didn't you answer? Why'd you just do one word? I was like, well, I do short answers because I have so many. I mean, I do, but I do answer.
So, Peter, what is community?
I'm dark again.
You are, but that's okay.
All right, we'll leave it dark.
Still looks all right. I think what you're seeing anyway on Skype is a little bit darker, at least I think, than what I'm seeing on.
Well, it's just not.
Anyway,
I'm a photographer.
Everybody knows where we are and what we're doing, so it's all good.
Okay.
Talk to me about community. And again, you are communicating with all these different people, but what have you seen for yourself? What have you learned from your Headshot crew community?
Oh my gosh, I learned so much from them. I think people ask me stuff about, well, I think if I say, I look at my work, and my work has changed so much, so dramatically, because as I'm shooting, I'm digging into my brain to figure out what I'm actually doing so I can convey it to them. I'm an open book with everybody. So I'm just giving it I want everybody to have everything. Like, if you could do it better than me, or the same as me, or do whatever to make you a better photographer, it's huge for me. So I go into my shoots now with a new vigor, not only to, get the best out of my subject, but just to be like, well, maybe I'll learn something that I could teach people to gain insight into what I do. A lot of people want to, like, take what I do and, put it in a can, and then give you the can, you open it, and then you have it. It doesn't work that way. It's a process. But I think that the community, it's huge for me. I get it's everything. And it's just the people showing up that want to do the work. And it's not even like the work and the teaching. It's the people. Like, we just did this. I'm wearing the t-shirt, Headshot Mania 2. And we did it in Vegas, and it was right before WPPI. How lucky are we that we got through that? Oh my gosh, I'm freaking out, because it was the biggest show I've ever produced.
Right. And COVID kind of exploded the day after WPPI, essentially.
Exactly. So we got through it. But the thing is that in those scenarios, and especially right now, we're very isolated from everybody, and we're lucky to have technology to bring us together. But when you touch somebody in real life, it's so much different. It's very powerful. So I think I cried every day at that thing multiple times. I was just like, I'm an emotional guy. And the people, it's so amazing. So when I started in the dark room, and I didn't know, I'm self-taught. I didn't know there were teachers out there. I didn't know there was anything to learn. I was just like, trial and error. And I was modeling. So every time I was the most annoying model on the set because I would ask everything and I would pay more attention to the photography than I did myself and the clothes and what the job I was supposed to do. And, but I would go to the dark room. What I was doing was I set up a dark room in my mom's basement. So I would work on all the film. I would process the black and white film in my apartment and go out to my mom's basement. And eventually it got so much that I was going out there so much because I was so busy that I found a dark room in the city. And it was such a different experience to be processing images next to somebody and talking to them and showing them and doing this and then making friends and then going out and sitting and talking about your work at a bar or something. And we just don't have that anymore being in the digital medium. So Headshot Crew for me is that I get to talk to these people. I get to see them. We're live 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And we have an awesome community. And I think the people really value that aspect of it as much as the learning. And that's really important.
I agree, especially as we often talk about as photographers, we are often just people who are working on our own. We're entrepreneurs, selfpreneurs. That's not a word. Solopreneurs.
You can make up words. I love when you make up words. It's great.
You do like to make up words. Yeah. And so now I'm going off on a different tangent. Making up words, trademarking words. Talk to me about the Squinch, just briefly, because I know a lot of people know about the Squinch. But
sure,
what did sort of getting this video out there? It's all about the Squinch that got millions of views. Like, how did that shift things for you? I was watching that video again on YouTube, and it was like, it was so early days,
I know, it's so crazy that like those things exploded back then. It was like unbelievable. Well, when I started my career as a photographer, when I was modeling, I would talk with other models, like, how do you give a cool look? What do you do? And we never could quite figure it out. And I guess instinctually you squinch to look cool. Like if you look at all the celebrities, they do. I mean, I guess I knew as a model, if you look at my pictures, most of the time when I looked cool is when I was comfortable with the photographer. So people squinch naturally in life. They just do. So if you get your subject comfortable, you're not going to have to tell them to squinch because they'll be doing it for you. They're not thinking about the camera. But when we're uncertain or we just aren't sure of something, our eyes widen. If we're fearful, our eyes widen. So being in front of camera does that to everybody. So people widen their eyes all the time. It's a natural reaction to being in front of a camera and being on display and being recorded and freaking out and feeling, what am I doing with my face? You can't see your face, so people freak out a little bit. It's a natural reaction of being in front of a camera. So I would always tell people to squint. And I remember it was the word, I said it all the time. And I was like, it's not squinting, because when people squint, they look squinty, like they're looking in the sun, and their top eyelids and bottom eyelids come together when you squint. And then my daughter said squinch one day or something. I think it was Mia said it. And I was like, what is that? And then I found an old video of me doing it and talking squint before we came out with the video all about the squinch. So then I decided, I was like, well, squinch sounds better because you're pinching your lower eyelid up, not your upper lids coming down. So the upper lids could very slightly move down, very little, but the lower lids make a big move. So, and some people, they don't even move their upper lids. I had one plastic surgeon watch It's All About the Squinch and get mad at me and said, no, you can't squinch. You can't do that. Like our upper lids always move. And I have proof of this guy. Like a lot of people, I can do it without moving my upper lids. My clients can do it without moving their upper lids. Like the lower lids have to go up. So everybody who's listening to this, go look at yourself in the mirror and just put your fingers right here on your lower lids and touch that muscle, and then practice, which you should, because you need to ask your clients to do this to convey confidence in the camera, which is what my work is really all about. It's personal branding stuff. People have to look confident. So I needed them to squinch because they get in with the wide eyes, and I'd be like, no, it doesn't fly with me. And then the video went nuts, and they had me on Good Morning America and all this stuff. So it was awesome. It was just awesome. I loved it. I was like eating it all up.
So I want to talk about confidence, as you just brought up. You talk a lot about you have to be sort of confident behind the camera to make other people confident in terms of, a lot of people freak out being in front of that camera. So you have, over the years and repetition and all of this, become super confident in your skills at directing people. So I'm curious, are there areas of your life where you're not confident?
Love it. Yeah, of course. I mean, anything that I'm not proficient at, I'm not confident at. Confidence is learned. So when I first picked up a camera, I wasn't confident. I remember I didn't know how to direct people, and I was freaking out. I think photographers get to the end of their rope with their direction really fast. And I was one of them. And I was like, this is the thing. And once I decided that, I was like, this is what I'm going to work on. And it's been that for 20 years. It hasn't stopped, and it will never stop, because I'm never going to master direction. But yeah, in my life, everything else, like if you threw me if I was in an airplane, it was going down, they said, hey, land this sucker. Like, I'm not going to be confident. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not going to be confident. Like, it's anything like that. I think when we think about our lives and we go through it, and everybody's got this, if you look at the thing that you consider yourself in your life, what you've been best at in your entire life, think about when you started doing that whatever that is. You were not confident like you are now. I mean, confidence is learned. And I remember when I was studying this stuff with Bob, he has a whole thing on confidence. And I met this guy, Brian Tracy, and he had this self-confidence tapes and everything. I listened to all the tapes. I didn't understand it. I was like, I'm listening to these tapes, I'm not getting confident. And what I found is that you just have to get better at whatever it is you're trying to be confident at, and the confidence will come. So what happens with photography, especially as a portrait photographer, is that we're energetic beings. So when the person is freaked out, is in your presence, and you're with them, and you're not a confident photographer, you just take on their freaking out into your energy, and you're freaking out, they're freaking out. It's all internal. Nobody hears what's going on in your brain, but you're both freaking out, and your pictures suck. So you're freaking out more, they're freaking out because they might be paying you, and it's just a recipe for disaster. But when that person comes in freaked out, especially because like in my line of work, they're coming in for a session, like they're coming in, they're paying, they know something's going to occur. They're coming in, they're expecting pictures when they leave. I'm not out on a street corner photographing what's going on in front of me. I'm not a documentary photographer. Like, these people are paying, and then they get in front of my camera and something needs to occur. So I need to create something from nothing. And that, to me, it freaks them out more. If the photographer is not confident, it causes that, and then it causes a problem. What happens the opposite is when the photographer knows what they're doing and is confident in their craft and knows how to take that person in that's freaking out and cool them down and be like, hey, we got this, and then gets excited about their work. One of the main things that photographers don't do enough of, I believe, is they don't give their subject feedback and excitement. That's why shebang came up. Like, I yell shebang when I get a good picture because I'm excited. Guess what? The client gets excited, and then all of a sudden it's like the confidence that you have behind the lens drizzles off on your subject, and they will learn and they will get confident. That's why if you're good at what you do, when they come in and they're a big pile of mush and freaking out, as you take pictures and as you build them up and as you get excited about your work, by the end of the session, there's like, people become more attractive. Their subconscious kicks in. Like, our subconscious knows how to make us the most attractive beings that we could be. Like, it just does. We don't walk around thinking about our expression. Could you imagine if we had to worry about that? Like, we don't have to, like, the best smiles you could give somebody are subconsciously driven. Every expression that you made today was subconsciously driven, unless you went to the mirror and worked on your squinch like I told you to. But other than that, nobody thought about their expression yet. So our brains got it, and we're on autopilot, and then we get put in front of a camera and we get autopilot taken off, and you're like freaked out. So what happens is when you create that comfort level with your subject and the confidence from you drizzles off on them, they forget about the camera. And then when they forget about the camera, guess what? They become more attractive. And then you get better pictures. And that's the way it works. I tell everybody who's asked me, one of the biggest questions I get is, how do you relax your subject in front of the camera? And the answer is simple. You make them forget about the camera. And if you're confident, you can get their brain off the camera. I mean, the best people do it. I've shot with them. Bruce Weber, I never thought about the camera. I never thought once about the camera when I was with that guy. And he took the most beautiful pictures of me that I have. My favorite picture ever taken in my life was his.
There's so many things that you just talked about that I want to come back around to. And part of that is beauty. Part of that is the energy between the person and letting them kind of fall off, and then fear, and then psychology between what the brain is thinking about. So right now at this particular time, a lot of people have a lot of fear, rightfully so. How do you manage and work through fear? What do you see fear as?
I mean, I think it depends. I think obviously what we're going through is a big difference in the fear. This is life and death fear. I'm sure, hopefully we get beyond this, but I'm sure that this is going to affect everybody. I mean, people already know people that have been lost. And that's just crazy to me. So this kind of fear is totally different than the fear of concern for getting a good picture. Like that level
of course
fear
of course,
you know, I'm like there's levels of fear. So not to be funny about it, but it's really interesting what we're going through. I mean, it's not interesting, it's mind-blowing what we're going through. I mean, I was talking to my dad and I was like, in your lifetime nothing like this has ever happened. Like, and he's 77 and he's like, no. And I'm like, this is unbelievable that this is global. But at the same time, I guarantee everybody's been able to take a closer look at their lives because of this. I mean, everybody's thinking about their lives and what we're doing day to day, and you know, the things that really matter and what really doesn't matter, and you know, the relationships that we're in. We're stuck with people right now, and I'm like, I wouldn't want to be stuck with anybody else than who I'm stuck with. You know, I'm like, so I'm very fortunate, but you know, and at the same time, we're missing people and not seeing people that we yearn to see. So it's this is scary, but in terms of fear throughout life, if you're not putting yourself in scenarios where you feel that, then you're not living life. I don't think you're pushing. Like, I was petrified of, you know, I'm sitting in this studio right now. I remember being petrified of renting it because the fear of, can I afford it? Am I going to be successful? Like if I hadn't done that, you know, I've been in here since 2008 and it's my second home. Like, I always tell people this, I don't feel like I work. Like, I just don't, this isn't work to me. Like, I don't ever feel like anything I do is work. I just love what I do. So, and this is my second home. So when I got quarantined here for 2 weeks, I was okay. I was all right. But I remember having the fear of whether I was going to, you know, ante up and get this sucker. You know, it's scary and things like that. Like, you know, I think that there is a fear for everybody out there of what the future holds for portrait photographers. I make my living as a photographer. My sessions, you know, allow me to have the life I have. Fortunately, I had moved from being strictly a portrait photographer. 100% of my income only came from when I pressed the button with somebody in front of my camera, to having, you know, teaching and other things going on and products and stuff like that. So I feel very fortunate. And I think that everybody on the call should be looking at this is from Bob Proctor as well, having multiple sources of income. So when things like this arise, you know, if you're 100% solely dependent upon getting that person in front of your camera right now, it's really, really difficult. And it's not going to be the same when we get out of this, and we don't know. So the fear of the unknown, I think, is what's, you know, grasping people. But I also think that we're at this time in history where we're all reflecting, and we've come together as a human race globally to try and beat this thing. And I feel like people are more willing to help other people now more than ever. So, like, I can't imagine having a call. Like, I don't want anybody on this call to lower their rates when we're done with this thing. I can't believe that anybody wouldn't be. If somebody asked me to lower my rate when they call for headshot photography, I will say, are you lowering, your salary, or are you, I mean, even now there's going to be a lot of things, a lot of people that are unemployed. And I want to mention that Tony Tave came up with, one of my mentors on the headshot crew came up with an idea, and we are, and I haven't announced this yet, and he's probably going to shoot me, but we are using the headshot crew. We have 16,000 photographers globally. We have photographers in every state. I have over 130, I think, associates that are associated with me. And we are going to do, and we're probably going to keep it in the US, but we might make it global. We're going to shoot 10,000 headshots for free of people that were recently unemployed in every state in the country. So that is the plan. I get emotional.
That's incredible, Peter. That's incredible. Thank you. And wow, I'm getting emotional. I think that it just, that, like you said, everybody is looking as to how they can help people, and we don't always do that in our daily lives. And I hope that that's the silver lining that is going to come out of what is a devastating global situation. And so it's communities like yours. I mean, 10,000 headshots for people who are recently unemployed. That's phenomenal.
That's the plan. So we're reaching out to LinkedIn and to um, Indeed, and what is the other one? ZipRecruiter. I've already gotten in contact with some of them, and we're working on it. And we are going to try and get some help out there for people that need some personal branding shots for them to go out and get new jobs. But I think that's what that's like. I mean, that's what I could do. I built the network. We've got the photographers. I've got access to good people. I know we can do it. I know everybody would want to do it. And I'm going to need a bunch of photographers. So you guys on Headshot Crew, I'm coming.
That was going to be my next question. Just where should people be looking at your social media in terms of to find out whether there's somebody that would love to have a headshot because they are recently unemployed?
Yeah. We're going to do some sort of campaign for it. But if you go to headshotcrew.com and do the find a photographer search, it'll start there. People we have 16,000 on the site. It is actually, if they're not a paying member of the Headshot Crew, then they don't get into our photographer search. So if somebody searches their area, it's going to show the closest photographer to that area. However, I'm going to go on the back end and see which photographers are there. And I'm also opening up April for a free trial month for anybody who wants to get into that photographer search and get in on this. They can sign up for Headshot Crew for free. I also put it in a newsletter where we're giving away. Canon's been really supportive of me and what I'm doing. So we have 2 Canon Pro 1000 printers that we're doing contests on, which is like a $1,300 printer. I mean, it's amazing, that kind of stuff. So once we get, I'm going to go state by state, and we're going to figure out all the photographers, and I'm going to get the numbers of what they can handle. And then we'll put it out there to the public and see. And Tony's probably just cringing right now if he's listening to this, because we have just started this process. We're not even I didn't think I was going to bring it up, but it's a good platform to tell the photographers that that's what we've got in mind. And the goal, there's going to be a headshots shot in every state of the country until we get to 10,000. And we don't know if we're going to try and do it in one day or if we're just going to try and do it. And I think we could pull it off in one day potentially, but maybe 2 days. I don't know. I know in New York, how many people I could shoot in a day. I mean, I'd be happy to do 100 in a day. So we need 100 photographers to shoot 100. I think that'd be a little aggressive for one day. But maybe we open it up globally to the 16,000 photographers and everybody just shoots one. I don't know. Figure it out.
Well, you'll figure it out. And again, crew, have compassion for yourselves. This is not happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
But and of course, safety first for
Well,
everyone involved.
it's
Yeah,
obviously not happening till this thing dies down and we figure
exactly.
out. The good thing is that as headshot photographers, I'm like, just lengthen your lens. You can be 10 feet away.
Yeah.
You can be. I'm 6 feet. I'm usually about 6. I shoot about 92 millimeters, which is about 6 feet from my subject. So I'm okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's been like cool people doing family portraits from a distance, from the street, and the family comes out to their front yard or whatever. People are getting really, really creative with what everyone's doing right now. That's incredible. I want to jump back a little bit. You are an emotional guy, and I
Oh my
love that
gosh.
about you.
I just fell apart.
I love that about you. I rewatched your TEDx talk last
Oh,
night.
I cried at the end of that one too.
You cried at the end
Disaster
of that
area.
one. No, it's your ability to be vulnerable is what connects people to you, like you said, all over the world. So it is, to me, that is a hugely positive aspect of your personality and who you are. So briefly, the TEDx talk, which was TEDx Cambridge, people can Google that and go watch it, but it was all about this sort of the psychology of people walking around and not being confident about who they are and what they look like. Um, Talk to me about what the response was to that talk, and again, like what you walked away with from the experience.
I mean, it was amazing. Well, first of all, just to get asked to do a TEDx talk blew my mind. I mean, like I said before, I went to, did I say I went to BU and then I was on, I
Not on
didn't
this
say
call
that.
yet.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I went to Boston University and I was like on the 5-year plan. Like I almost failed out. They made me go to night school and then I graduated. I didn't know what I was going to do. And like 20 years later, I get asked to do a TEDx talk at MIT. I was like, shebang. Where'd my camera go? Hold on.
That's what I was just going to say, Peter. I think we lost your camera. We've got a black screen right now. It's not that dark in there. Okay, you're back. You're back. The beauty of live.
That's all right. They're all right. They figured it out. Anyway, so I was just psyched to go to MIT and do this. It was like a big deal for me because I was like, the smart kids are over at MIT. I mean, I guess there's smart people at BU, but I wasn't one of them. I didn't feel like one of them. But the main thing about that was that for my entire career, I've struggled with people's perception of themselves. So I could take a beautiful picture, look at it, it would be beautiful. And they would be like, oh my gosh, I can't look at that. And I'm like, how do I do my job? I mean, how do we do our job? I mean, it's tough. So I met this psychologist who I put through the process and she was like, this is crazy. We're onto something. So when they asked me to do the TEDx talk, actually Rick Byrne, who's a photographer up in Boston, had a friend and he said, hey, this guy's really interesting. She was doing picking the speakers. So she called me and I was like, yeah. She's like, well, would you do a talk? And I was like, well, the coolest thing I have going on right now is this, I thought, which was this. We had created a business. It was called Sci-Photology and everything. And she's like, okay, so that was what the talk was about. So Ann and I did it and we started working together with companies and digging into people's, like how people, it was really, really interesting. And then we just went separate directions completely. I was concentrating on my photography and she went off another direction. So unfortunately, I don't know why. I was ready to like try and dive into this. So lo and behold, that TEDx talk was like what, 2015 or something, maybe
2014, I think.
2014, yeah. So I had a client that I shot 10 years ago as a psychologist here in Manhattan we were like fighting with each other during the session, which I don't remember. She's like, you don't remember, do you? And I was like, no. I was like, and she was one of the ones that has a really hard time looking at herself. So she saw that talk and she's like, why aren't you doing this? And I said, well, it was just timing, and the psychologist and I didn't. And she's like, I want to do it with you. So we started a new company called Headshot Therapy. So we're starting it again. We started working with clients, and it's amazing because I was like, it's such a huge thing how we feel about our appearance. And for me, it's always been like this stopping point of it. When I have to rack my brain on something, it's on this. Like, how does that person walk around thinking that they're not attractive? I've shot 2 Miss Universes. One told me she couldn't stand her face, and the other one told me that she didn't think she was pretty, and she was just thrust into this machine. And then she ended up, and we're really good friends. And I said, we have to do a talk. So I probably will do a talk with her as well on that. But that's the thing. So I was listening. This sounds really kind of gross, but it's so true. I was listening to this podcast that a friend sent me the other day, and this guy was talking about how we feel about our appearance, and he said we're all walking around in meat bags, and we just and yes, and like we were worried about the way our meat bag looks, and I was like, that's so true. It's so weird and creepy, but it's like it's like in the just of what we're going through on a global scale right now. Like, where's your appearance fit on this thing? Like, I don't think I looked at my closet. I haven't pulled a piece of wardrobe out of there. Like, I'm throwing on a t-shirt. I call these my COVID-19 jeans. I've worn them every day for a month. I just haven't done anything. Like, I don't even care what the whole operation, and I've gained a ton of weight. I'm like not, thinking about that at all. But some people put this appearance thing at such a high, and look, it's getting even darker. It's raining. It's like crazy. Anyway, and I do have lights, but I didn't set them up. What can you do?
It's all right.
It's all right. It's all right. But so they put this appearance thing so high on their list of priorities that it affects them throughout their life in such a ridiculous way. And I'm trying to get people to understand that you did not choose what you look like you were born and thrown into this planet, and you get to roam the surface of the planet of the earth in this meat bag for the rest of your life. And for lack of a better term, I think I got to come up with something other than that. But this guy, his name's Mark Grove, I think. I don't know. I should find out. But I found it very interesting, and it was the first thing that made me realize that this is something that people really have to wrap their brains around, because obviously.
So how do you connect with your own inner beauty? Because really it comes down to, yes, we are in this body in this particular lifetime, and like you said, we can put on makeup and do our hair and all of that, but the minus plastic surgery, we are who we are.
And people
so
are doing that, so I get
so
it.
How do you personally, when you're if and when you're not feeling your best, like what tools do you have that like bring you back to like, oh no, I'm a good person, I'm a worthy person?
Yeah, I think that's the question, because it's going to be different for everybody. So everybody's got a different opinion of themselves, and what's going to break through for one person isn't going to be what breaks through for another. I remember when I was modeling, and I would be in these rooms with all these good-looking guys. I mean, if you're with an agent in New York, generally you're pretty damn good looking. So you'd sit in this room with a bunch of good looking guys. I'd be like, I'm never going to look at this guy. This guy's amazing. Look, that guy's got a great smile. Like, I got nothing here. What's going on? And cause I was on the chopping block every day. And then I got out of modeling, picked up a camera, and, started shooting. And now I get in front of a camera, and I like being in front of the camera, and I like my look. And I felt stronger and more secure in my looks just because I accepted what it was. And I wasn't on the chopping block. Honestly, I thank my parents, because this is all, they gave it to me. What are you going to do? But so I feel good about my appearance, but everybody is different. I mean, that's the other thing, is that I have identical twin daughters, and they look completely different to me. So I think you have to go into your uniqueness. You have to understand that you are the sole being on this planet that looks like you. And there is somebody that loves every inch of it. Like, there's people out there that are dying for every inch of what you've got. And, and I think that we have to remember that to be happy in life, you're not going to change it. And like you said, some people do go to extremes to change it. And feel really dark right now. Sorry.
The long version or the of this will be audio only. One of the versions of this will be audio only, so people won't be seeing how dark you are in the moment. Going back to that though, so there's one thing that is um, feeling confident that other people will love every inch of you. Okay, Peter has gone to get
I'm here.
some more
I'm right
lights.
here.
There
I
he is.
just want to
There he
give
is.
myself more light. Sorry.
No, I love it. So there's one thing with coming to sort of an acceptance that other people love every inch of your body, but then there's and not just your physical body, but who you are as a person. But then there's I believe that you've got to love yourself first before other people,
I
before you
believe that
let
too.
other
Yeah,
people in.
absolutely.
Um,
But I think and you have to love the way you look first,
mhm.
probably too, right? So I always say, where does this happen? So I've never had a 10-year-old walk into my studio and go, geez, I wish I'd lost the 10 pounds for the shoot. You know, you never have that. I never had anybody walk in and go, Peter, this is your lucky day. My hair's perfect. My skin is flawless. I got enough sleep. I don't have any bags under my eyes. So we live in this fault-based society, which is what Anna got into in our TEDx talk. So what happens is we're trained from birth to see our faults first. So that has to come from our family. Like culturally, we need to shift and we need to understand. I have been drilling into my daughters about their beauty and that it's a gift and that they got the best of me and my wife, I believe. I think my daughters are stunning
They
and
are. They are beautiful.
I want them to feel like that. I want them to not fall into this societal trap of appearance being put on a pedestal as something that we can't be happy with. Like it's just really, really strange in our society that it's such a huge thing and that so many people have trouble with this. And then some people, it's interesting when you get them in front of the camera, they just don't care. Some people don't care at all. Like some people are just like, yeah, whatever, take the picture, it's be good. And some people are like, I love the way I look. Take my picture, take my picture, take my picture. And it's so heartwarming when you get that person that really, it's just such a different experience because the population of people that are like that is so small.
And I mean, yes. And that's sort of the lifelong goal and the work is coming back to understanding and accepting who we are. And, life is an emotional roller coaster. And so it's a practice. Going back to your TEDx talk, there was, I wrote this down. I think I'm not sure if it was you or Anna that talked about asking yourself, like, I am a person who blank. I want to ask you to say, like, I am a person who blank. Who is Peter Hurley?
Put me on the spot. I would say, I don't know, because there's a bunch of things going through my head. Part of it is, first I wanted to say get shit done. I was like, that's what I wanted to say first, but then I was like, no, because I don't know if that's right. And then I thought cares, and then I was like, no, I could be really, really selfish sometimes. I would say unique. I mean, I feel like I try to be as unique as possible. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have it's hard for me to define myself as anything. I bet you could ask the audience and they come up with a million things though.
I am a person who I want people to stop and ask that for themselves because it's super interesting. Thank you for voicing like the different places that your brain went. I think right now, you do have sort of this time and capacity a lot of people are looking introspectively. And so I just think it's an important time to ask yourself, I'm a person who, because goes into, you seeing what is most important to you and what you believe. And so
I
thank you.
love it. I love it. I'm going to, think about that as I'm writing in my journal tomorrow morning. I'm going to be like, I am a person who Kenna hit me with it. I'm going to come up with this.
I brought that back around from you. So
Really?
so are you?
That's not from me. Is that from me? It might have been in the
that,
TEDx talk.
It's from that talk. So
It's from
either
the
you
talk.
guys
It's Anna's.
were quoting
Yeah.
someone, or it's Anna's, or
Yeah, it's Anna's. Wow.
Okay. Well, now that's your own self assignment.
Here we go.
So, are you a regular journaler? Is that something you do regularly?
No, I have a journal that I've had since I started the process of personal development with Bob Proctor, and I it's the same one. And I actually, when I was training for the Olympics, I wrote in it, and I was working with Milt Campbell, who he won the decathlon in 1956, and he started training me. He made me write in it every day, and he made me write like a gazillion times, like spend hours just writing that I was going to be the gold medalist and stuff, and visualizing that while I was writing. So I started there, and then what I've done is, and this is part of the thing about the accountability, everybody's like, oh, you should get more into the personal development speaking and stuff. And I was like, are you kidding me? I'm like a mess. I'm like, I'll go for it and accomplish a bunch of stuff for a really long time. And I'll be great for like 6 months or a year. And I'll be like doing everything and so positive and everything. And then for 6 months or a year, I'll be a disaster area and not keeping myself accountable and not knowing what the heck goal I'm going for, and be, it's like, I'm human. It's like, it's not always perfect, So my journal is like, there'll be 5, like, I bet you if I looked in it, I don't have it here. It's at I had it here when I was in quarantine, but oh no, I didn't. Yeah. I made my wife put it out. She was making me dinner and putting it out in the hall, and I had her put it out in the hall so I could get it. And anyway, there'll be gaps of 6 months, year to a year, or 2 years, or even 3 years or 4 years in it. But it's like this thick, and and I've had it for 20 years, so I still write little things in it as I go. And this time period made me pick it up and start writing again.
Well, I think it's a beautiful practice. I haven't journaled for a very long time, so it is something I've been thinking about. And whatever kind of writing you're doing, it actually is also, you're talking earlier about the brain and the subconscious, and how, we're normally not aware of what we're looking like. Well, also writing creates new neural pathways from the brain, and you get things out on paper that you might not otherwise be able to say, or you don't even realize that you're thinking. So a super important practice that I would like to come back to for myself.
Yeah, I found it. I like when I do it. I just have to get myself to do it. Like, I think I'm going to make a goal for myself. After I do wake up and goals in the morning, I'm going to do my journal.
All right. So what's your new hashtag for that?
Oh, I don't know.
You got to come up with one. Should journal.
I don't know.
Okay, Peter, final question. There's a ton of people that are watching this live. Thank you guys so much for tuning in live. And a lot of them are from the Headshot crew or are not. Once again, you can be watching this on creativelive.com/TV. We've had a ton of activity in the chat room, and thanks to those Headshot crew folks who are in there and are letting people know. Some people are asking, like, what is the Headshot crew, blah, blah, blah. So people are answering them. Thank you for that. People want to get involved in the project that you're going to be putting out there about giving away free headshots to people who are recently unemployed. So once again, thank you guys to all of that participation. But for people who are not as familiar with shebang, where did that come from? What is it? And let's get everybody who doesn't know shebang to know shebang.
Okay. So I've said this word. Shebang. Oh wait, look what it did. I hit shebang and it screwed up my screen again. It'll come back. So
That was your
Oh
own
my,
shebang button.
look at that. Yeah, that was my own shebang button, and I hit it, and it the screen's all messed up now. Anyway, you see these things happen. So I uh, I was I was shooting a client, and I have the actual video, and I was saying boom or something. I don't know what I said, and then I said shebang when I got a good picture. And then what happened was I said the shebang, and then I started saying it whenever I got a good picture, and then I put out the video. It's all about the jawline. So if you haven't seen, it's all about the jaw. It's all about the squinch. Those are the two big ones that I put out there, and I put it out, and in that there's a definitive moment where there's a shebang, and that created everything because that video's got like 4 million views, I think. And then I had to go all over the place and yell shebang wherever I was going, and then I got sick of it and I stopped, and then people said, no, that's your brand, you have to yell shebang, you can't not yell shebang. So I had to bring it back and yell shebang. So shebang is a characteristic, attribute, or trait that an image possesses that produces a visceral gut reaction of approval in the artist who, upon taking it and at the top of their voice, they yell shebang after seeing the image on their screen. I have the actual definition somewhere, but that's basically it. So I always tell people I yell shebang when I get a good image, which in turn I'm always photographing a person, so they get excited, or they're like, this guy's nuts, or he's excited, or whatever it is. And I always tell people, feel free to use shebang if you want to yell at the top of your lungs when you're shooting, or just the bottom line is that you have to be excited about the work you're doing. So you have to give this subject feedback. And my feedback is I would yell shebang, and I still do on occasion when I get really excited. Or some people come in and they know I yell shebang, and they're like, where's the shebang? You haven't shebanged the entire session. What's going on? And I was like, oh no, I really created something. So you need something as a photographer to excite your client to the fact that you're excited. If you're not excited, how the heck is anybody going to get excited in front of your camera? So whatever it is, you could be like, yeah, I don't care. But something to be like, that shot's amazing, or look at the back of your camera. Well, you should be shooting tethered, so you look at your computer. But if you're not tethered, look at the back of your camera, get excited, so that they can feed off that excitement that you have for your own work.
I love it. I love it so much. I got a shebang when you recently photographed me, which I
Yeah.
was so excited about at WPPI. I was in the right place at the right time.
You did.
Um, Peter, thank you so much for everything that you do for the world of photography, for the community of photography, um, whether that's the headshot crew or not. I mean, there's just you exude this positivity that is just makes people smile and
Wow.
squinch.
Yeah.
Where can people find you, follow you, learn more about everything that you're doing?
Well, I am headshotcrew.com is the coaching site where I do all my coaching, so that they can find me. If they want to see my work, they could check out peterhurley.com. And I'm very active on Instagram. It's Peter_Hurley is my Instagram handle. And I also have a Facebook group called Peter Hurley's Headshot Group if they want to join there. And I just do updates as to what I'm up to and what's going on. And like right now, we're doing the free trial for Headshot Crew for people if they want to get into it and check it out. And we've got 2 competitions going on this month, which are sponsored by Canon, and they're giving away Pro 1000 printers. So it's very exciting. And we're really loving it. We are live 3 days a week coaching people, and it's a very vibrant community, as you can see from the people that are in here that are watching. Thanks, guys, for being on. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Kenna and Creative Live, for having me. I love this. It's been so long since I've been in Seattle, and I love working with you. You know that, and doing those classes and everything was so huge for me, and it really helped me get the word out on my message, which really is about photographers directing their subject in a way that makes the subject behave in front of you, so that you can capture a subconsciously driven expression and make them really proud of the pictures that you take of them. That's what it's all about for me.
I love it so much. Can we go out with a shebang?
We got to go out with a shebang. You ready?
All right.
3,
Yep.
2, 1, shebang!
Shebang!
Is that too
I tried
loud?
to.
Did I
I
max
tried
out
to.
the...
I tried to step away from my microphone for a bit. Sorry, guys.
I should have. Went right into it. Did I blow some ears out?
Oh, once again, everyone, thank you so much to Peter Hurley. We've got some people doing shebangs in the chat room, in the comments. We will have links for all of that in those comments, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, and again on creativelive.com/TV. Be sure to tune in, see what is playing on creativelive.tv on a daily basis. This is our new channel where we are coming to you live from living rooms, from kitchens, from home studios of folks all over the world who are like Peter, putting content out there to help you through these times. So we've got performances by pianists, by world-class cellists, and it's just we're also taking recommendations from all of you out there as to who you want to see on the platform. So signing off for now, everyone. Check out what's coming up later today. Chase Jarvis will be back on. And thank you so much again for tuning in. Be well, be safe, and thank you, Peter Hurley.
Thank you. Bye, guys.